What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 9, the penultimate episode for Game of the Year 2020 here at Rocket Punch. I am Cameron. Seth is here with me, as he has been through this entire journey here, where, Seth, we're almost there. It's the light is at the end of the tunnel. We're almost at the big one. We just have one small hurdle to cross before we get there. How excited are you about that?
I'm excited. Listen, I have very thoroughly enjoyed being the poncho to your Don Quixote as we fight the windmills that are Game of the Year topics. It has been a blast. I'm really excited about this category. I don't think this is a super long category, but I think this is a really important category. And this is the part where I think we get to highlight some really cool things that have happened this year. So
yeah.
Definitely. I'm excited.
But guys, of course, remember this is episode 9. If you have not listened to the other episodes for Game of the Year, go listen to the other 8 before you come to this one. I promise it's not going to go anywhere. It'll still be here when you're ready to listen to it. But we're almost done. After this, it's literally Game of the Year. We're going to make our final picks on that. But jumping right into it, guys, hopefully by this point, you know the whole rigmarole here with what we're doing with Game of the Year 2020 at Rocket Punch through the month of January. Seth and I have each picked 2 runners-up and a winner for this for each respective category. This one is for Person of the Year. I've got it written down as for the person in gaming that helped to leave a mark on the industry or helped to move the industry forward in some way. Somebody like a person that's highlighted, made some big moves and done some big, awesome things for the industry in some way, whether big or small. That's who we're looking at for Person of the Year. We've got our picks. We're ready to rock and roll. Let's jump right into it, Seth. It's your turn to go first.
It's my turn to go first, yes. So my first pick for Person of the Year is not someone that I would typically watch because I get a little bit turned off from the mega, how do I put this? Like mega hype. Like I love hype, but there are some people that are so hyped that it kind of like I need it in short bursts. It's hard for me to like consume a constant stream of hype. It can sometimes be a little overloading. However, I think this person this year in particular has done a fantastic job of messaging things that were very important for 2020. And that man is Khalif Adams from Spawn on Me. Fantastic host. And like I said, his entertainment style isn't quite in sync with mine. However, Khalif, I think, has been one of the most important voices in Black Lives Matter, like the entire Black Lives Matter movement from last year. I think that even before that, Spawn on Me started as a podcast to like showcase, Black voices in gaming, right? And what I think this last year was the year where you really saw that idea flourish into like he was interviewing so many people, having so many great discussions. I love when during the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a lot of discussion about like what is privilege, what is like really helping people understand where a lot of the issues are coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that Khalif did a really good job of having the right voices on, saying the right things, having the right message. Just all around like awesome dude, awesome message, awesome podcast. If you don't follow Spawn on Me, please check it out. It is one of the top podcasts you can get for sorry, my refrigerator started doing a weird noise, and I was like, wait a second, is that my computer? So anyways, Khalif Adams from Spawn on Me. I mean, what can I say about this guy? I mean, I'm looking at his Twitter bio right now. He is featured on Fast Company, IGN, GameSpot, New York Times, Polygon, THR. Like, come on, dude. Like, this guy is all over the place.
He's making moves.
And, while I'm not a huge fan of the, like, make me PogChamp thing that's happening right now on Twitch where everybody wants to be the next PogChamp, but his content all in all is really cool, and I cannot praise him enough. He is definitely deserving of my runner-up, first runner-up for Person of the Year in 2020.
Very strong pick. That's like literally like sprint right out of the gate, in my opinion.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
I'm gonna hopefully piggyback on that steam here because Person of the Year. I don't know. Yeah, if you can call it cheating if you want, but it's our goddamn show. I do what we want. It is piggybacking off what you talked about, Seth. It is not only Khalif, but my pick for one of my runners up for Person of the Year are all of the creators during the Black Lives Matter movement this summer. All of the people, not only Khalif, but people like Paris Lily and Zombie Kills and all these other people that kind of came up and really voiced their concerns and became strong voices talking about, minority representation within the gaming industry. All of these people during the summer, I listened to one of the episodes and I kept hearing us say like Black Lives Matter, and I felt like it started kind of losing that meaning for me a little bit. But like this summer with the movement, like Black Lives Matter was happening, but within the gaming industry, it was really a chance for a lot of creators, and I talked about it in earlier episodes, but a lot of creators that of minority or Black, female, Asian, basically minority creators to really get their time to shine and really step into the light. And, it was awesome to get the opportunity to do that and kind of a spotlight be put on that. And I think a lot of these people like Khalif, like Zombie Kills, like so many others, other two that I know I follow that I can think of off the top of my head, that really were at the forefront of that conversation and really voiced their concerns about that. For good or bad, however you felt about it. Like, I think that they voiced concerns that are are things that we need to talk about, very important to not only the gaming industry, but just like life. This is a gaming podcast. This isn't a life podcast. We're not going to delve into that. We're not going to cross the street on that for now. But like some of the points a lot of these creators were making. I know I Am Brandon was another guy that I follow, and making one of the big points he talked about is like, I want to see what happens after this. Once this is kind of quelled down, how are these brands and these other people and these media outlets, and how's this reputation going to change? Is it going to change? Or is it basically like, hey, let me jump in and give my support, and then I'm going to be quiet for the remainder of the whatever happens when the next issue or some other point comes up. Like, I'm curious where people are going to stand at that point. And like, I'm with them. I understand that message. Like, I think I talked about it in an earlier episode, like spotlighting Black, people of color, minorities, creators, content creators that are doing this was awesome in the summer. But like, why does it have to be at one focal point? Why does it needs to keep continuing. That conversation needs to keep continuing to happen, so we can have these different and diverse voices within the community. And I really think that a lot of those creators, it really gave them the chance to not only have the spotlight shown on them, but show how awesome and great their platform, that like their content is, and the platforms in which they use that to promote that diversity and that goodwill. And really, I really think that it's helped me out a lot, but it's like helped other people see these different voices and see these different people. Like I found a Black female, and God forgive me because I bounce back and forth on YouTube so much I haven't had a chance to check out some of her new videos. But she does tech videos, specifically I think Apple, if I'm not mistaken. And I was just like, I've never heard of this girl, but she makes awesome videos, and I got to tune into her. I subscribe to her, and like, boom, I'm like, let me jump in here. We'll be talking this entire conversation. I can see if I can find her name because I don't want to shortchange her at all. And I'll look at it after the fact, but like stuff like that, and really pushing that forward. And I think it was hard. It's been hard. It will continue to be hard, but I really appreciated these creators that kind of stood up during that time, and they stood up and they didn't sit down. They kept continuing to have this conversation and voice their concerns and voice their thoughts to try and put not to cause discourse, but to try and push the industry forward to a more inclusive one. And
Yeah.
I got to give them the shout out, and that's why they're one of my runners up.
Very good choice. Very good choice.
So
my next runner up is someone that I remember him entering the scene. I had heard the name before, but really had never listened to any of his content. But I remember listening to the first couple episodes that he was on when he started entering the content that I listened to this year, and really just loving his thought, the energy that he brought to the company, and that was definitely Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kinda Funny.
Blessing, all right.
He is someone where, like, when they were talking about at the, Kinda Funny does their like top of the year streams, and they've kind of been announcing like their new hires right during that time.
Yep.
And I remember they announced Blessing, and he had been on a previous episode when they had their creator spotlight kind of thing. And it sounded like he was interviewing for a job, because that kind of is the impression that I got from the conversation. So it didn't surprise me when they said that happened. But one of the things that, and Cameron, I've talked to you about this before, I've always been a little bit concerned about Kinda Funny, because I felt like Greg is such a...
Totally sorry. I just want to make sure I get this out. Sarah Karen, Tech.
Sarah Karen. Okay.
She is the one that I was talking of. I bounce back and forth between 2 or 3 different accounts on YouTube, and I had to make sure, like, all the names that I know, that I want to get her name right. She focuses a lot on a bunch of Apple stuff. She's awesome. Go check her out.
Cool. Sarah Karen. Perfect. All right, jumping back in.
Kinda Funny.
So when Blessing was brought on, I was really wanting their first like major new host hire to be someone who had a little bit of more context from outside of the PlayStation zone, just because their content is so PlayStation heavy with Greg and everyone. And so,
what's wrong with that?
To find out he came from that background, because we've talked about it before. There's been a couple episodes where I was pulling my hair out, because it's like, they can tell you everything there is to know about fucking dreams, but then they don't know like basic ass content details about like Gears of War and huge major franchises, but that just aren't on PlayStation, right? And so I was like, man, I really wish they had another voice that would kind of like help balance that out. But I don't think that was the direction they really wanted to go in. They know that they are PlayStation focused, and they don't try to the XCast has been doing great.
Yeah, and they want to branch out, but like that's a discussion we might have on a Rock Punch Show. That's
yeah. But like so when it first came in, I was a little disappointed, because I was like, man, now it's like kind of a echo chamber, because we got 2 hosts that are super into it. But one of the things that they did that really kind of like they relaunched PS I Love You, which I think was a bold maneuver, because that show was so anchored in Greg and Colin, and Colin's departure from that was always such a just disaster scenario. Like,
we've talked about that on the show. Oh yeah,
I was at PAX East. I walked right by Tim, and he was on a phone call that he sounded very angry on. Well, because I was in the same hotel that he was in, and he was very angry. And I was like, man, because I wanted to say hey to him, because I think Tim's really awesome. But like, he was on the phone, he seemed very angry, and I was like, I'm not gonna bother him, because he looks like he's really busy right now. Pretty sure that was the phone call where he was talking about the Colin stuff, right? So I've always felt like it had this weird shadow over them. But man, Blessing came in like a WWE superstar. He came in amazing content. They brought back PS I Love You XOXO. And I think of this entire year, what really sunk Blessing is like, of all the content creators this year, the one that has brought the most smiles to my face was him during the Halloween shtick. Did you
I
listen to
did
any
not watch. I didn't
Halloween?
listen to any of that. I missed
So
that part. Yeah.
Greg has always been this big Halloween guy, right? Like he wears the big Halloween suit you buy from Spirit Halloween, right?
Mm.
And Blessing challenged him for the King of Halloween status, right? And he did so because he got sent a swag box from Spirit Halloween, right? So Greg didn't get the Spirit Halloween. So it basically turned into this like stupid feud that the fans were able to follow uh for like a whole year, or sorry, for a whole month. And that was the moment where I was like, you know what? Blessing is the perfect addition to this family because he is like, if Greg were to drop off, I think that Blessing could carry that brand as the host. I think that Blessing brings so much energy, so much positivity, and like I know he did stuff before with I think what was it OK Beast, I believe was the
Yep.
name.
Hmm.
Yeah. So he's been doing content creation for a really long time. But it like Blessing is just he continues to bring me smiles. I can't wait for the Blessing show that just got announced this year. That is such a cool idea, and I can't wait to see it. But of content creators that I follow this year, I was trying to think of people that were like really relevant this year, more so than others. And Blessing just like he got hired at Kind of Funny right before the pandemic started. He was there through the Black Lives Matter movement. He had a lot of great episodes where he talked about that, kind of how that felt to be a Black creator. And I just really wanted to spotlight him because I think he's a super talented creator. And it was just really cool to see him come in with like day one rocking it out. Like he really didn't seem to have that big of a boot up here. I'm sure he would disagree with me. He'd be like, "Oh no, I was terrified on the first episode of whatever." But
I mean, like
I think
you could tell it was different for him, but I think like
yeah.
that could be said for anybody, and kind of going in and finding that groove after the fact, like giving him time. Like I remember reading posts and stuff. A lot of people saying like, give him time, give him a little bit of time. Don't just sit there after the first week and say, "Man, that was shit." Like, give him time to get comfortable. He's never been
Yeah.
put in that situation. That's a dream job for him, and he's not
Yeah.
been put in that situation where he's right in front of the camera like that. I would say he was doing OK Beast, but not to the spotlight that Kind of Funny is. And so kind of having that sit up there, I think was, new and different for him, and he got used to it, and he's
Yeah.
been rocking it ever since. Agreed.
He's been rocking it out. So that is my second follow-up for Person of the Year, or sorry, runner-up for Person of the Year in 2020.
Okay.
Great job, Blessing. I'm sure you'll never watch this, but if you do, you're doing great, man. Keep it up.
My other runner-up for Person of the Year is Alana Pierce, who I wish would have won Content Creator of the Year at Game Awards, but she didn't. But I think Alana Pierce this year was like a person that I really started paying attention to in the content, like and just consuming content, and I really have enjoyed Alana's take and approach throughout the year. Like some of the video, I think a video or two that you sent me, but like some of the videos I've watched from her, she has a candidness to her that I really appreciate. And like even just talking about her own experiences within the video gaming industry, and because man, help me out, Seth. She's been at IGN, she was at Rooster Teeth, now she's at Sony San Diego.
Yeah.
She does her own content on the side, and like all of the work that she's done within the industry, things that she's learned, things that she knows, and like so she'll put up videos on like why this is happening, how I think there's one video like how IGN reviews games. And like goes through a general overview of like this is how they review the game, and gives people like a lot of behind the scenes stuff in the gaming world, in the gaming industry that I think a lot of us need to see, because I think a lot of us have, and for decades we've had these preconceived notions of like this is how it's always been, this is what it needs to be, and like I think as we've more and more learned about what goes on behind the scenes, not only in video games themselves, but in the industry itself, with like reviewers, content creators, other things like that help promote games and stuff of that nature. It has really kind of given people better understanding to maybe why some decisions we were upset about before, maybe we kind of understand a bit more, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think Alana, I really think this was just a strong year for her, and a content creator that I really like tuning into and watching, and consuming her content.
Hmm.
And like she just has a lot of very insightful things that,
Yeah.
and one of the awesome things about making content, like things you wouldn't think about. And then she poses that question, you're like, you know what? That's actually that's not a bad point.
Yeah.
And so that's why Alana is one of my runners up for person of the year.
Very nice. Yeah. I want to add on to yours because she is an honorable mention of
Okay,
mine.
go ahead.
Yeah, Alana, I really came into her YouTube channel this year. I remember seeing her on IGN. Can't say I'm like a frequent IGN viewer by any means, but I recognized her face in a YouTube thumbnail and was like, okay, well, let's see what she's got. And I remember one of the first videos I watched about her she was talking about something related to GameStop, and so that was probably what got me onto it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, her candidness. She is definitely a very direct person. She doesn't really sugarcoat her videos, and she is an influencer, a streamer. She's very direct about that. She's not trying to be a journalist, per se.
Mm-hmm.
She, she's got a cyber to show you which side of the line she's on. She has a cyberpunk chair, so she's not on the Jason Schreier line. She's on the Paris side. So, but she owns that in a way that I think is really cool and interesting.
She's in the game.
She's in the game, yeah, and like she will tell you that she'll tell you when she could be biased. She'll tell you when she's very candid. And I really appreciated that about her content. I also think she picks really interesting topics to talk about, right? Like they're very, very vlog style. She just sets up a camera and talks, but she'll talk about like, why doesn't a game get a 10, right? Or what makes a game get a 10? I think that was happening around the Last of Us shenanigans, right? She talks about what it's like to work. She worked at GameStop back in the day, so she's had that horrendous female employee of GameStop experience that is nightmares, from what I understand. And so she has all this insight, right? And she just speaks very candidly. She gives me the same energy that I get from Gary Whitta, where like Gary Whitta will tell you what he thinks in a second, but and sometimes he's a little abrasive, but that's okay. I don't think that being abrasive is a bad thing. I think you can definitely go too far with it. But when you're talking about something that's like not great or a bad business practice, then yes, it's okay to feel a little abrasion from that. So I just wanted to piggyback. She's an awesome pick. She's one of my honorable mentions. But
Okay.
now I got to hit you with my person of the year. And this one was actually, it is that time.
Wait.
Mine was Khalif and then Blessing.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're good.
Go. So this one was very easy for me. I think that this is one of the most inspirational dudes in gaming. I cannot think of a better person to win this award, but that is Steven Spawn, the founder of Able Gamers. This year in particular, I think was a banger year for him. He turned 40 on September the 15th. On that day, he sent out a tweet with a video that said he wanted to raise $1 million for Able Gamers before his 41st birthday, right? So September 15th next year.
Yeah.
Good news. Twitch donated the full $1 million. So that's done. He hit his goal, right? I think he was up to like $300,000 around November, around Extra Life time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Emmett, the CEO of Twitch, and I guess I should provide full disclosure. I used to work for Twitch, so I was a Twitch employee for 2 years. But so factor that in, I guess. But Emmett came on. I think I can't remember the streamer that was with him, but it was a very popular dude. Came on and they both announced that they were going to be donating $1 million. But dude, Steven Spawn, he's been very, very influential in opening up accessibility for gamers, right? Making sure that gamers with any type of motor disability, with any type of any type of disability at all are able to enjoy games just as much as someone without those same disabilities. So
Yeah.
he has chronic conditions that he owns. Like he'll very clearly tell you that doctors told him he should not have lived past his teens, but hey, here I am turning 40, so you can do it. And he considers his time here. I'm sure he has such a unique perspective on life that I don't think many humans get the opportunity to have, but like he considers his time here on Earth like a gift, a blessing to him, right? And so he's decided to take that time and invest it into making things better for people when he's gone, right? And I think that's an attitude that a lot of people don't get until way later in life. And the fact that he has this drive to make things better, his push this year was like really meaningful and meant a lot to me. Like, I think a lot of times about, I go here, I'll get a little real for a second, but like I go to the doctor, right? And the eye doctor, and he tells me like, oh, you've got a thing in your eye that it's going to become glaucoma one day. And so when that happens, we're going to need to be real careful to make sure you don't lose eyesight. And I stopped to myself and I'm like, dude, what happens if I lose my eyesight? Like, how is that going to change the way that I play games, right? And then it makes me kind of empathize for a second. Like, there's somebody out there who like maybe does, they're suffering from that right now. And like, I think about games like The Last of Us, adding in the accessibility modes, the color options that they added in, and the way you could play that. And I was like, oh, I would have been able to play The Last of Us, right? Like, that's pretty cool to think about. So I think all in all, Steven Spawn is just such an inspiring dude. Please go follow him. If you can, support Able Gamers. They're a charity. I mean, that charity drive is still running, even though they've hit their goal. That is the money that he wants Able Gamers to run on for years to come. Probably years, way past years he'll be around. Hopefully years will be around. I hope that's a charity that lasts for a really long time, because Steven Spawn is definitely worthy of my person of the year for 2020. No question.
That was a good pick. I can't beat that pick. Not that this is a competition in any shape, form, or fashion.
It's okay. I think there was another category where I gave a tweet, biggest win, and you gave Black Lives Matter. So I think we've had some categories that are ups and downs. So
that one I'm not gonna top. But with my person of the year, I think my winner, I took a different approach.
Okay.
A little bit here, and I will explain why. Number one, my person of the year are actually people of the year. It's a group, and before I'm going to read their names to make sure they get them cleared out of the way here. Amir Rao, Gavin Simon, Darren Korb, Gen Z, Greg Kasavin, Andrew Wang, Logan Cunningham, Josh Barnett, John Paul Gabler, Dexter Friedman, Eduardo Gorenstein, Alice Lay, Joanne Tran, Caitlin Sales, Paige Carter. I'm going to mess his name up. Athene Ngo, Will Turnbill, and Nikola Sobajic. Those are the names of the team that I am voting. I'm making my people of the year, I guess you would say. You don't know who those people are. They are the developers of Supergiant Games. I'm putting the entire team, and I'm sure if there's anybody I missed, I apologize. I'm reading directly from their website, but the developers at Supergiant Games are my people of the year, and the reason for that, I've talked about it in previous episodes, so I will not drone on with this part here. But the fact of the matter is that we've had lengthy conversations. We Seth, you and I understand. As we've done content creation over the last couple of years, on and off, we have learned the cost of making video games. It's not an easy one. It takes time. It takes money. It takes effort and passion. And one of the things that is always continues to come up is just crunch, 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 crunch. I think one of the episodes we watched, one of the episodes for Game of the Year we aired, I think there was somebody in chat who made a comment about crunch. Is just like crunch is just why do we have bugs and stuff in these different games? You know, it doesn't matter. Crunch is going to happen. Deal with it. Like, it's another nature of the beast. There's nothing we can do about that. Supergiant Games would like to prove you wrong. There's this huge article on Supergiant Games that was released. Who was it? I think it was Kotaku actually. I read the title as well. The secret to the success of Bastion, Pyre, and Hades: no forced crunch, yes forced vacations. I don't know if I talked about this before, but like, in a year where Hades, for a lot of different outlets, including IGN, mind you, is their game of the year, or at least very heavily in the game of the year discussion for 2020, in a year when The Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 and all these bunch of other games came out that a lot of people are picking, Hades has surpassed them all. And I wanted, for Person of the Year for me, I want to give shout out to these developers that took their time on their game. Not saying like take their time, they were very relaxed, but like they had their deadlines, but worked on this game, worked on this passion, and didn't overwork themselves to do so. From the top down, it was, you're not being forced to work here. We're actually encouraging you, like, instead of somebody coming over to the desk where you're working, Seth, and saying, hey, is that project done yet? I need you to take the weekend to work on it.
Yep.
It's, hey.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to come in on Saturday.
Exactly. And instead of that, it's, hey, is that project you're done? Is that project you're working on done yet? It's not, well, okay, don't rush and kill yourself over that. Have you been home lately? Maybe you should take a 3-day weekend. Actually, I would encourage you to take a 3-day weekend. Make sure you spend some time with your family. Don't worry, the work's not going anywhere. If it's something where we have to push the game out, sure. Like, isn't that refreshing? Like, I know video game developers out there might be like, "Oh my god, if I could hear that." And
yep.
And I'll caveat this. I understand, like, this is a huge conversation. I understand that there are a lot of intricacies that, a studio of 15 to 20 developers doesn't have to deal with compared to a large 300-400 person studio with corporate headhunters and, shareholders and stuff like that. I get that. We're not going to dive into the intricacies of that.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, and I said it in an earlier episode, the fact that we have a story of developers that didn't have to crunch, that took their time, mental breaks, vacations, rest, relaxation, spent time with their friends and family, and still delivered a quality AAA experience with their video game that is in Game of the Year conversations for the year of our Lord 2020 is something to stand up and be applauded to applaud to. And the fact that, we had that story, it popped in when this article popped up. God, I can't find the date on it. But like popped up, and not many people have talked about it, but when The Last of Us Part 2 rolls up and then crunch, 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 when Cyberpunk 2077 rolls up and says crunch, 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 people are so ready to come out of the woodwork and say crunch is bad, or well, we got to deal with it, or da 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 da, and like nobody, I really feel like nobody takes the time to praise and appreciate the people that do get it right, and do take their time, and. Yes, they put in hard work too, but they took their time. And maybe it's because they had the luxury of taking their time. I don't know. I don't care. The fact is that they're promoting a positive work culture, which unfortunately, in all the stuff I hear about in the gaming industry, is very few and far between. When you hear about people talking about... I would say that's
few and far between business in general.
Like, when you hear about people's... like how they've experienced work culture in that nature. And that is why I'm giving my people of the year to the developers at Supergiant Games and the work they've done specifically this year with Hades, but just their work in
Yeah.
general and their kind of push not to do crunch, stuff like that.
Very nice. Great pick. Great pick. All right, I have a couple runners up, but I know we got to talk a little bit about recaps, right?
Yes, we do have to do the recaps here. So recaps. Person of the year, my pick winner is Supergiant Games, the studio of Hades. Runners up are Alana Pierce and the creators during the Black Lives Matter movements there. For Seth, your person of the year is Steven Spawn with Khalif Adams and Blessing Adeoye Jr. As your runners up for that category. Congratulations to everyone who won! Yay! Honorable mentions. Seth, you're ready to rock and roll, so knock him out, buddy.
One, but it is chunky. This is a conversation I've been meaning to have for a while, and I was trying to think about. I will probably talk to you about maybe doing a Rocket Punch show episode in the future about this, but I wanted to talk about it this year because this is the year that it happened.
Okay.
My only honorable mention that is a big one, I think. So obviously my other three were like awesome gamers, like gamers, content creators, or like people who are really influential to the gaming space, and I think have done a good job of like pushing culture forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
This next person is one particular creator that I think is opening up a whole new world of content creation, and I'm super excited for it. So the person I'm talking about, it's not who you're thinking. It's not, you could never guess it. But my one honorable mention for person of the year is going to be Inugami Korone from the VTuber Hololive.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I have the VTuber chat now because, like I said, the three that I picked for my actual winners, I think are really awesome people doing awesome work. Korone is probably of all the streamers I've watched this year, the most entertaining. Her Doom playthrough, unmatched. There's no streamer alive who had a funnier playthrough of Doom than hers. However, I want to talk about it real quick because VTubers are, I already hear them popping up in like conversation like I've heard them on Giant Bomb a couple times. I've heard them in a couple of other podcasts, and they're generally brought up in a very like ridicule heavy kind of way. People, man, I'll tell you one thing gamers love to do. They love to make fun of anime, but boy, when anime games come out, they go out and buy them. So I don't understand.
Yeah, right?
But I mean, Persona is anime, but whatever. But there has for a long time, Cameron, I've talked to you about this on the show. The future of streaming, of being a streamer, I think it is very, very, very difficult to be a person and get into streaming in a way that's new and unique. Pretty much everything's out there right now, right? Like you've got your sports dudes, you've got your really funny people, you've got your fringe content, your sushi dragons, and just like there's a lot of content out there, right? And so the idea of trying to start something new is very daunting and really terrifying, to be honest. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of hustle and honestly a lot of luck to get it right. You got to have the right video at the right place at the right time to see that growth that you would need to make it your lifestyle, right? But I remember tuning in to watch. My fiance was the first one to catch on to Korone back in, I think it was around March, April timeframe. She started following and showed me a video. It was actually the Doom playthrough. It was the day she was playing Doom. And I was laughing my ass off, dude. It was so funny. And I was sitting there and it just like all at once, my head just started spinning about like, this is and for those that don't know, let me back up a little bit. A VTuber is a virtual YouTuber. That is what it's short for. And it means that they are basically using a face rig kind of motion capture software to capture a real person. But what you're seeing on the image is a character, right? So Korone is this very cute anime girl. She's got kind of dog ears with a little dog bone, like motif going on. So like very,
Yep.
it definitely falls down that like Japanese idol route of we're going to be super cute and do this stuff, right? But Korone was one of the first Hololive, and so Hololive is this huge organization that manages a lot of these VTubers. But she was one of their first big hires for gaming content specifically. So her focus is gaming. She doesn't like she does a lot of other stuff, but like most of what she does is gaming. She had a 12-hour R-Type remix stream the other day. Like it's that, right? So when I was watching her, there's this great video from a couple years back, I think it was from Polygon, where they talk about the future of pop idols, and they talk about Justin Bieber versus Hatsune Miku, right? Mm-hmm. And they talk about like Justin Bieber is eventually going to hit a scandal. He's eventually going to be too old. People are not going to be interested in him anymore. Like real life people have a shelf life, right? Like there's no people aren't.
That's a great way of putting it. Real people have a shelf life. Oh man, that's creepy.
Yeah, like people, like entertainers have a certain amount of time that they last, right? And it may be a flash in the pan, someone who comes and goes really quick, like a Backstreet Boys or whatever, or it could be a lifelong. You know, Keanu Reeves, I would say, is a lifelong entertainer, right? Like people have loved him for his whole life, right?
But he's a vampire. He never ages. He just
exactly. But this video back then was talking about how like with virtual pop idols, they don't age, they don't change. They're exactly what people want them to be because they're programmable. They're programmable people, right? And if you really dig down into why people like celebrity culture, it's because they like to feel involved and feel in control of something else that's bigger than them, right? And what better way to do that than to download to download a kit and be able to make Hatsune Miku songs, or in this case with Korone, like you're able to have this character that is first, the real person's protected. That's a big one. That's like a big part of the VTuber culture, is that like you don't know who the real person is. And it's relieving because they're immune from a lot of the stuff that real streamers have to deal with, the doxing and things like that. Like they're very well protected from that kind of stuff. And the other part that really draws me to this is I think that when you look at this year, she has grown so exponentially fast. Like I'll just go check real quick. I know she crossed 1 million subscribers not too long ago, but for being, I would say, predominantly Japanese speaking, she's at 1.24 million subscribers. She mostly speaks Japanese, so that's a lot of subscribers for someone who doesn't speak English, right? And so it's to me, I'm sorry I'm ranting here. I'm so interested to see how VTuber culture continues to grow. Now, there's a dark underbelly to it that is not cool. Like there's idol culture in and of itself is a little problematic because it is truly like we're going to get these cute girls and pay them a lot of money to do cute things on video. And that's kind of what streaming is, like either cute people or people who are good at video games getting on and you paying them money to do it, right? Like,
yeah.
And so when you make a business out of it, there's going to inherently be some like shenanigans, right? But all in all, I think that Korone is a like good, clean fun. She is super entertaining to watch. She is a joy. And like, especially when she does collaborations with other VTubers, like she was doing a Super Smash Brothers, or sorry, no, that was someone else. But I know she's done like karaoke streams. She just co-opted a Way Out with another VTuber. And
very cool.
Say what you will about idols and VTubers, they know how to entertain people, right? What separates good streamers from not good streamers is usually the ability to entertain people, right? If you are not entertaining, generally people are not going to hang around. I feel like of the types of content that I would want to consume, VTubers are right up my alley as far as the most entertaining, because it's just fun. Like watching them is fun. And I'm very interested to see if more creators start to lean toward this, because boy, you want to talk about all the issues that YouTubers and Twitch streamers have. Many of those issues go away when you become a VTuber. Now you have to start from scratch. That's the thing. You know, it's like you can't be like Ninja can't be like, oh, hey, come check me out over here. I'm a VTuber. Like, the idea is that you're protecting your identity and you're using this almost like surrogate dummy persona to be your idol. Now, that's also a little weird because you're building a brand around a character, not around your own self. So you could lose it at any moment. But I'm just really interested to see how is this going to happen. Sorry, go ahead.
It's like Batman. It's Batman and you're Bruce Wayne. And like exactly. Somebody else could put on the cape and Batman will still exist as a symbol, as a beacon of hope.
Exactly. And I've told you for years, I think that streaming is going to be the best way that streaming can turn out is to be the WWE, where there's just a ton of different people who have these crazy personas that they embody, right? And then they all interact with each other in these crazy zany interactions, right? Like that's what I think streaming is going to be at its best. Don't believe me? AOC on Among Us, Drake on Ninja's channel. Like, those are the moments where streaming really comes to an apex, right? So when I look at things like Korone and whatnot, you're really starting to move way past people into what I think a lot of people look for in this kind of stuff. They're looking for entertainment, right? And what if you could watch Batman Twitch stream, right? Like, would you watch Batman Twitch stream? Maybe. Like,
yeah,
because have this idea, like, to you, I don't have to sell you on Batman, right? Like, Batman is cool to you, right? Yeah. And Batman's you can dope. Tune in to YouTuber's channel and very quickly figure out if this is something you're into or not. But what I think is going to be really interesting is eventually someone is going to try this with something other than an anime model, because like that anime art style is automatically kind of, you either like it or you don't, right? Like, and bounce right off of it. But I'm really interested to see like what are virtual streamers going to do in the future, and maybe not just anime characters, but like digital anything. Like, it's something that in theory anyone could try it. Like, you can buy the tools to get this for really cheap. You could pay an artist to make you, like, right now you can pay artists to make you VTuber models. You can pay a rigging artist to rig them up so that there'll be 3D models that follow your face and whatnot. And it's basically, it's fascinating to me. It's like the fascinating next step of culture that I am really interested to see. It's like if you'd come back in time to like 1993 and said, do you know what's going to be huge in the future? Animated, like CGI animated movies. And I'll be like, you're stupid. No, get out of here, dude. Like, no one's ever going to replace cartoons. Like, cartoons are classic. And then Toy Story comes out and everything was rewritten, right? Like,
everything changes.
Yeah. Now, like, I would say that animated movies are like maybe one or two good ones a year, but most of them are CG animated. I think VTubers are along that same line where they're not going to replace the original, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying. But they're going to open up a new medium of, sometimes I just want to watch streamers for fun. And I don't want to deal with their BS. I don't want to deal with their drama. I don't want to deal with their individual isms. And what better way to do that than to deal with a character that's not real? Like, they can literally craft it into anything. And that is, to me, a lot more interesting, or can be a lot more interesting than a lot of other people that are out there, right? And so that's why I am making Inugami Korone, and I guess parentheses VTubers, but she in particular has been a standout for me this year, as really awesome and interesting, and I can't wait to see how that industry grows or doesn't. It may die overnight. Like, that's it's definitely a weird thing, and I can tell a lot of people are turned off by it because they're like, oh, it's not a real person, da 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 da. But I think there's something really cool there, and I can't wait to see how people use it creatively. So that's my one. Thank you for letting me rant about VTubers.
No problem. Glad to help. I will make it short and sweet, guys, as I have been doing. My honorable mentions: the ladies at What's Good Games, Andrea Renee, Kristen Steimer, Brittany Brombacher, Rihanna, who's forgive me, I don't know your last name. All four of those ladies kicking ass over at What's Good Games. I think we've talked about it before, Seth, but it's just it's that different perspective, and hearing video game news and analysis is very nice. It's very good, and I listen to them every Friday and hear what they have to say about the news from the week and their perspectives.
I always look forward to them.
Specifically, Andrea's, who I think has Andrea's in gaming, one of the I feel like more level-headed stuff, where if a topic comes up that a lot of everybody else is just like on the bus, like especially like business related stuff, or like, oh, this is crap. Andrea is one of the few that would come up and say, well, it's not great, but hold on a second. Let's look at both sides here and see maybe why they did it. And I really appreciate her and them for doing that. And then Jeff Keighley, just for kicking ass and making the Game Awards happen. Like all the work that he did for not only the Game Awards, but to try and fill the void with the Summer Game Fest this summer, when all the conventions, including E3, were getting canceled this past year. So I wanted to give them a special shout out.
Nice.
That's it.
That's it, dude.
We're
Next
done.
up. Next up. We got one thing left.
There can be only one. Yes, one thing left, one episode left in the 10-part series, guys, and that is episode 10. Next time, we will be sitting down, Seth and myself. We're going to make our picks and our winners for Game of the Year 2020. Who's going to take home the crown for each of us? We don't know. You don't know. You're going to have to tune in and find out. We're going to be live streaming that on January 24th. At around 7 p.m. on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive. So if you want to be a part of the show and join us right when we start having these discussions, you want to be over at Twitch at that time. We're also going to reveal and discuss some of the winners of our, or not the winners per se, but like some of the information we have gotten from our People's Choice Awards for Game of the Year 2020. All of your guys' responses over the last month, we're going to read through some of those. Some interesting ones so far. Can't wait to get more of those. So make sure you go out, vote, check out the Google Forms link, make your voice heard on that. It's going to be super, super awesome. But that's it, guys. That's all we've got. We're going to take a little bit of extra time to play the games we want, so that way we know what choice we have going into this. So stay tuned, guys, for the finale, and we will see you then. Did you mention,
sorry to interrupt you, did you mention that it was live on Twitch? Okay, okay. I wanted to make sure that it's going to be a live stream. We're not going to have a chance to edit our shenanigans.
No, we want them
going to be raw,
on full display for everyone to watch and listen to.
Full, raw, uncensored opinions.
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be good.
We'll see you guys next time. Toodaloo.